What I love about working for Special Olympics is that no 2 days look the same. We're a very complex organization with 19 different sports.
When it comes to the finance, running a nonprofit organization, how does that actually work?
Yes, we bring in our budget this year was about $8.5 million. So a lot of that fundraised. We run 2 sets of provincial games every year. So if you look at 23,000 athletes in Special Olympics, about half those would be in schools.
When it comes to managing teams, what is something that you do that is different that you find that most people don't do?
I think if we put people in positions, give them a lot of rope, I think the 3 kind of pillars I keep talking about is trust, transparency, and teamwork.
Do you have like a favorite age range that you like to, see play or play with?
I guess
Welcome to the Young Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Malina, and I'm 15 years old. Today's guest is the president and CEO of the Special Olympics Canada. He's had over a decade of experience leading charitable organizations across Canada. He's known for driving innovation in fundraising and community engagement within a nonprofit sports sector. I'm super excited to introduce Mr. Cody Jansma. Mr. Jansma, welcome to the Young Leaders Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great, and thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Me too. But before we start, I want to make sure that all of our listeners know that there will be a very fun Would You Rather session at the end of this episode. So make sure to stay tuned. So we're going to start off with a mystery question that was left by our previous guest. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The question is, what scares you in business?
Ooh, that's a great question. What scares me? I think I'll say complacency. And what I mean by that is leading a team. There's nothing more that I dislike, and I get angry at my staff if we do the same thing year after year, or we do something because that's the way it's always been done. I think we always want to be progressive. We always want to think outside the box and want new ideas. In my space, I run a not-for-profit organization. There's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of people fighting for the same dollars, fighting for the same volunteers, all great causes. But I'd say complacency is what irks me and maybe scares me as you kind of look at that long-term function of how you build your team.
And how come you like to do things out of the box? I know it's probably a weird question. A lot of people prefer to stay in the same, area. But what made you, want to always work out of the box and change things up?
Number one, just how I'm wired, how my brain works. But, what I love about working for Special Olympics is that no 2 days look the same. We're a very complex organization with 19 different sports, and we rely heavily on fundraisers and sponsorships. And to me, that's exciting. I think from a staff management, or how do we recruit and retain and all those great things with staff and volunteers, I think, people don't want to be bored. They want to do new things, want new opportunities. So I just, I don't like just the thought of, mundane activity. And I think for us, we have a very robust organization. And we like to keep it fresh and, don't be afraid to fail. I think that'd be the lesson coming out of it. Try things. If it doesn't work, you can adjust. But kind of be bold and make some decisions. Always rooted in what's best for our athletes and what's best for our organization. But just try new things and see what happens. And I think that's why we've been very successful.
Yeah, I agree, especially with the part of don't be afraid to fail. I feel like it's very important for a lot of people to realize that failing is not necessarily the end, but it's more of the beginning, and it's a stepping stone to help you get to that next level. Yeah, and I just want to know, how did your journey start? How did you get to where you are now? And why did you, it's a lot of questions, but why did you choose Special Olympics?
Yeah, I've always been somebody who's been super involved in sports, grew up, with my brother and my sister, played a lot of sports, always outside, something that was just a passion of ours growing up. I went to university at Carleton and actually took criminology. So at that time, I thought, was my career going to be like a 17-year-old kid? That's a pretty daunting thing to think of. What do I want to do the rest of my life? And I want to be an RCMP officer. I love the idea of being a police officer, traveling the country, being posted around different organizations. And I loved my university experience. I played hockey at Carleton, and that kind of opened me up to a different side of, hockey was my life, sports is my passion, thinking, there's actually a business side of sports that I never really thought. I've always thought of just, let's make it to the NHL, let's play hockey and let's play this sport. So I went back to school and got a postgrad in sports business management. And I was working at a company in Ottawa at the time, and a job came available, and I'll never forget the interview I had. The job was the manager of the law enforcement torch run for Special Olympics. So I was working with police officers, raising money for Special Olympics. And I kind of joked, I said, I thought I had 2 useless degrees, criminology and sports business management. And I remember Glenn, my predecessor at the time who hired me, said, you're tailor-made for this position, so let's do it. And 14 years passed, and it's an organization that obviously I've come to love, and had a couple of other different jobs in this organization, mostly through the marketing and fundraising and sponsorship side of things. But I was extremely fortunate. I was given the opportunity last July to become the president and CEO. And it's just an organization that I care deeply about it. It does amazing things for individuals with intellectual disabilities in this province. So, I kind of came in not knowing what I was going to get into, and then very quickly fell in love with the cause. So, maybe a bit of a unique journey, but, over time I've rose the ranks a little bit. And I'm very, very fortunate to where I am now.
That's incredible. And 14 years. Wow, that's amazing that you got to spend 14 years with this incredible organization. And like when you went through it, did you start off, like what levels or jobs did you start off with to get you to the point of being the CEO and president?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. My first job was manager of law enforcement torch run. So I did that for 8 years. When you think 14 years, it does seem hard to believe. It's a long period of time, but every year you get older, I think time goes faster. You probably hear your parents say that, and it seems like a cliche, but it's just true. And time does fly. And it was 8 years in that torch run role. Worked with our law enforcement partners. So last year, law enforcement torch run, incredible group of volunteers that raise a ton of money for Special Olympics. It's a worldwide movement. They raised $2.5 million in Ontario alone last year. So really enjoyed that experience. And then from there, I was promoted to Director of Business Development. So kind of gave me a little bit of a whole scope of marketing, communications, finance, donor relations was under my portfolio. Did that for 2 years, then took on Vice President of Operations. So kind of, including facility and staffing and all those fun things. And then my predecessor, Glenn, he retired. He was the CEO for 35 years. So really a monster in the movement, been around forever, grew this organization from very modest means to what it is today. And I was fortunate to take over from him in July 1st. So coming up on a year, I guess we're about 10 months now in this role. So it's been a roller coaster, and something that I never, if you ask me, when you took that job in 2011, when you're 25 years old, like, did you have this dream to become the CEO? And to tell you the truth, no, I love the organization. As time goes on, you evolve and you get different opportunities. And when the time came, it was just, I think I was in the right place at the right time. And I had a lot of tenure at the organization, and it just seemed to be a great fit. So something that I certainly worked hard towards. And it was just, it was a great opportunity, and it's been awesome so far. I'm really, really thankful for my journey with this organization.
That's incredible. And it's been almost a year. That's amazing that you get to go on this journey. I was like, what do you do as the CEO then? Like, do you have to manage the teams, or do you get to do, I guess, things a part of it? Like, I know when there's like sales departments and marketing, do you get to do some of the parts of there, or do you just manage? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, I kind of joke. I mean, we're a volunteer-led organization, and we're Special Olympics, so we're rooted in sport, right? We have 19 official sports, from floor hockey to rhythmic gymnastics, athletics, and all the things you think of at Olympic Games. And I kind of joke is, as every level you go up, you get further and further from the fun stuff. But the reality is, we have 36 staff members, 23,000 athletes, 8,500 volunteers. So a lot of my time is, overseeing those type of functions. Obviously, we are being a nonprofit. We have a high fundraising ratio we need to have, very little government funding. So a lot of my time is working with sponsors and partners and bringing people into the movement. Obviously, managing that staff team, but very lucky to have a great senior leadership team as well that helps with all those things. So I guess when you think CEO, it's big picture, right? It's vision. Where's this organization going in the future? It's working with your great board of directors, which I came to know you through our board chair. So it's kind of those top level things, and really empowering your team to be the best they can be. And our senior leadership team, which oversees the managers and all the people, and the magic happens on the ground with all the volunteers. So we exist, and whether you're the CEO or the first day on the job as a coordinator, we exist to serve our athletes and volunteers. So we're rooted in customer service, rooted to help the great people on the ground who keep this organization going. So that's kind of my long-winded answer as a CEO, is a lot of things on the plate. Trying to keep that high level picture of, supporting our athletes. Where do we want to go? Make sure we're financially solvent to be able to do all the programmatic needs we have.
Wow, that's incredible. And then, like, when it comes to the finance, running a not-for-profit organization, how does that actually work?
Yeah, so we bring in our budget this year was about $8.5 million. So a lot of that fundraised. So more money we bring in, obviously, the more money we can then bring back down to the grassroots. So if you look at $8.5 million, a lot of that would be our expenses, our games. So we run 2 sets of provincial games every year. So if you look at 23,000 athletes in Special Olympics, about half those would be in schools, predominantly high schools. So half our organization comes up through the school stream. Another half are what we call community. So think of adult athletes. But I think the best thing, for me, what I think is the best thing about Special Olympic sports is you never age out. So say me being a hockey player, you grow up, you play minor hockey. I was lucky enough to play in university. Then at some point, we all go to the beer leagues and we play just for fun for the rest of life. Special Olympics, our youngest athlete's 3 years old. Our oldest athlete's 88 years old. So we have truly a sport for life model. We bring them in with active start and fundamentals. They go through the school system, which is amazing. They have those opportunities just like they would alongside their classmates to compete in sport. Like you'd go to OFSA if you're a great track and field athlete or soccer player. Our special Olympics athletes have a chance to be in their unified competition. We run a provincial championship for them. And then on the community side, mostly adults, that's our 19 official sports, which they compete in. And then again, it's sport for life. So a lot of that funding goes towards games, and just everything that it takes to run the organization, from sporting equipment to facilities to everything you can imagine, staffing costs, volunteer development, conferences. So the long and the short of it, the more money we bring in, you put it right back into your operations. And at the end of the day, you hope to break even and have the most amount of impact we can for athletes on the ground.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of work, but it also sounds like a lot of fun to get it all done.
It's very rewarding. It truly is. At the end of the day, it's very rewarding work.
Yeah. And what was, I guess, do you have like a favorite age range that you like to, I guess, see play or like play with?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, when you get to the active start medals, you have those 4 and 5 year olds, and they're super cute. And for the most part, they're just starting to engage in this sport for the first time. So that's amazing. I guess I don't know if it's a cliche answer, but I love the whole journey. Like I said, I love that sport for life model. Our high school programming, we're investing a lot of time. We call unified champion schools. So think about junior high school experience right now. Could be the captain of the soccer team, and unified sport is individuals with and without intellectual disabilities competing on the same team. So you would be with a special needs student, quote unquote, competing on the same team in a Special Olympics division. So what that does is obviously it breaks down those barriers of special needs versus generic stream, reduces bullying. It opens people up to this whole other side, which is, those individuals in their school. So I love that part of the high school programming. We also have that in the college university. But on the community side, we have, athletes have been with us for 5, 10, 25, 30 years, which is great, right? They compete in, maybe they start in basketball and soccer, and maybe as they get a little bit older, they'll start to play bocce and other things. So I guess I take a little bit of enjoyment in every piece of the athlete's journey, as opposed to say I love that one age range. But we have volunteers on the other side, which is almost unfathomable to think they've been volunteering for 35, 40 years. We gave a 40-year volunteer a lifetime volunteer into this movement. So it's incredible the amount of people that invest their time and energy in this organization. And again, on the other side of our athletes are incredibly committed. And, I think we often get the question of, when are the Special Olympics? And, are you guys at the Olympics in Paris? And we have our, that's the Paralympics. So the Paralympics follow the Olympics. Best way to explain Special Olympics, we're every day in every single community in this province. There's provincial games, national games, and world games. It's just like there is on the Olympic side, but we're also recreational sport. There's some people who want to play bowling once a week on Tuesday nights, and that's what they want to do. That's fantastic. We service them. We would, like the athlete who's going to the World Games in Italy this past summer. So we have something for everybody, whether you're a recreational player, you're trying to compete on that world stage, national stage. That's kind of a great part of our movement as well.
Wow, that's incredible. That sounds like a lot of fun, especially the bowling every Tuesday. So to get the community together and to, I guess, network and have fun. From all of the, I guess, jobs that you've been through, whether it's even in high school, university, what were, I guess, skills that helped you, I guess, become the person that you are today? And like the main, most important skills that you've learned?
Yeah, I think, honestly, I like to think I'm a great people person. Again, I would encourage everybody, to whatever job you're in, go in there, go in with 2 feet and make yourself indispensable, right? I know a lot of people come to organizations and say, how do I get a job or how do I stay in there? If you're intern, come in, make yourself so valuable that we have to hire you, right? Make yourself just such a part of the team where ask questions, learn, don't be afraid. Like we talked about before, don't be afraid to fail. When I think about like my journey, even in high school, growing up in a relatively small town, working on a snack bar in an arena, it wasn't necessarily hard work, but it's customer service, it's dealing with people, maybe sometimes having tough conversations. I did a lot of reffing of lacrosse and hockey, and that can be tough, with parents screaming at you, coaches getting angry, players, why'd you give me a penalty? Now you're dealing with conflict management, you're dealing with how to communicate. Some jobs in universities try to pay the bills, working sharpening skates in pro shops, working cleaning dishes at a restaurant. I did Chinese food delivery, all those things. But I think it's always rooted. It's always rooted in people, right? It's always rooted how you interact with people, how you can converse with people, how you can deal with conflict. I think that makes you the person you are, and just getting reps, right? Like anybody, if I hired you tomorrow, Malina, you wouldn't know any better organization, but you'd come in and you'd ask great questions, and the more you go through situations, the more comfortable you get. And I think a lot of those skills are interchangeable. I don't think you need to necessarily have a strong sport background to succeed in this organization if you're extremely, extremely organized and willing to learn and willing to do all those things. So, I think those are all the skills. I think you take a little bit of piece of everything through your journey, which you will do the same as you go through your high school and university career and wherever you choose to go. Like that's just try to learn something in every step.
So when it comes to, I guess, going in like critical situations that you want to, like, how do you manage them? How do you know how to handle them?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's a lot of experience, but if you're looking, hey, I'm inexperienced, I'm in my first job, I would say trust your gut. I mean, if you get hired for a position, they hired you for a reason. You're in that position because they believed in you. If you have the background, you don't have the background. I like to think you're trying to do the right thing in the right moment. And the reality is sometimes you may mess up. You may make a mistake. As a manager, as a leader, I'd use that as a teachable moment. Say, Malina, here's what you did in this situation. Maybe here's what we could have done better. But for a lot of it is training, right? If you have a job and you're in a position where you have to deal with somebody, you have to deal with a tough situation, hopefully you're trained appropriately. You can lean on that training. I think any good organization will invest that time and energy into people. We're all so busy. It's easy just to, something I have to really work on is, delegation, right? Allowing people to do important roles. And we find ourselves saying, oh, it's just easier for myself to do it. The reality is it is easier for you to do it, but how's another person going to learn if they never have that opportunity? So I think it's, trust your gut, make the right decision that that you believe is right, and don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah, I agree with the part when you talked about, when you talk about how some people find it's easier for them to do and not allow the others to do. I know that happens. I mean, I feel like everyone can be guilty at one point of doing it. And I know I am too sometimes, especially when it comes little siblings like, let me just get it done. But I feel like it's important to let them learn that skill, especially because no one's going to teach it to them after, and it'll be much harder later on as well. Because my dad sometimes, there's some things when I help him out and he doesn't do it himself, though he knows it'll take longer time than it should. And he's like, you figure it out, you learn it until you understand it, then come back to me if you have any questions. So my dad is like very focused on making us do things by ourselves first, whether it's going on YouTube or asking others to help us, but he will not, I guess, help us deliberately until we figure it out so that we learn the skill of doing things by ourselves.
I think that's important, right? And I think that's, as a parent, I'm a parent as well. I think that's a great lesson to learn there, to give your kids or people that maybe work for you, give them freedom to make their own decisions, to fall down and then use it as a learning opportunity. So that's a great thing your dad does. Can I ask you a question, Malina? Can I turn the interview around on you? Why did you choose to do this podcast? I mean, you're obviously you're a high school student, you're 15 years old, you can do a lot of different things. Why do you want to, what's your goal for this podcast?
My podcast, I started it off with the intent to learn, and I also wanted to help my sisters as well with teaching them. And I found out that I think helping, like learning from others is a good thing, right? Everyone has their own opinion, and you learn from each of them and build it up on it to help you become the person that you want to be. And a part of that, my dad had also started his podcast, and I was really inspired on how he was always he went with the intent of learning and teaching. So he would help others and others would teach him new things as well. And I loved how he felt so happy after each recording. And at the end of them, he would be teaching me everything from the recording, whether I watch it or not. And I felt like that helped, I guess, spark inside me that I wanted to learn from people, but also share it with others who might not have access to this information the same way. And I feel like it's an easy way for young leaders and kids and teenagers, and actually anyone from all ages, to go in, watch the video, and hopefully learn something that can help them get to the next level and next step.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. And your dad sounds like a great man. I hope I get the chance to meet him one day. Sounds like he's doing a great job raising. And you're doing awesome. This podcast is fantastic. So keep on doing what you're doing, because it's great.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll get you in touch with them after this, hopefully. When it comes to managing teams, I know everyone has a very different way of handling their teams. What is something that you do that is different that you find that most people don't do? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's different or not. I think I trust the people. I think if we put people in positions, give them a lot of rope, I think the three kind of pillars I keep talking about is trust, transparency, and teamwork. So trust, like we just talked about, we hire people for a reason. They have a job to do. Trust they can get it done. Don't micromanage them.
Give them the training, give them the background, give them clear expectations of what we want them to achieve, and trust they can do the job. Transparency, just be open and honest. I think I'm a very transparent person by nature. Maybe not all leaders are comfortable sharing and communicating as many details as I may would, but that's just my personal style. I think if our staff knows where, at the end of the day, I got to make a lot of decisions. I got to set the vision and the strategy of the organization. So I want our staff to know why, where am I rooted? Where am I thinking? Where are we going? I think that helps them better in their job. And you mentioned teamwork is how do you build a team? I think it's just that work together. Don't pigeonhole people into certain ideas or roles. If they have an interest in badminton or trying to start a badminton, it doesn't matter if you work in the finance department, then let's involve you in the badminton program because we can learn from you just as you're trying to learn from us. So I think, give people opportunities, use everything as a teachable moment, and just trust your people. I think that's the way I lead.
Yeah, I feel it's very important because especially with these days, I haven't been in the job force. I've never really had a job before, but I've heard based on other people that a lot of bosses or leaders, they don't take the time to understand their customers' needs to the same extent that they should be, or even their employees. I feel like it's important for each person to have a conversation, be able to trust each other, to help each other out with anything, whether it's for work and even personal sometimes, depending on how comfortable you are. And I feel like a lot of people are missing that aspect of going through, talking to them and asking questions as well, because people get nervous or they just don't feel like they have that level of trust. And I feel like it's very important for people to do that because it's like the best way to get stronger.
COVID definitely changed the way, people are entering the workforce, how people want to work, a lot more. You were pretty young when we first started the COVID lockdowns 5 years ago. But look, we come out of this we're so much more digital savvy. You're filming this podcast right now. I think, it was scary for a lot of organizations to be fully remote, and how do we manage this? And, if you're an organization that we come in the office 5 days a week and you have to see your desk from 9 to 5, I think we were much more fluid. Being a sport organization that ran a lot of events before that is pretty seamless for us. I think the sweet spot is somewhere in the middle, but I think when you onboard, new employees now, the reality is a lot of them would have done their university remotely. They would have started their first jobs remotely. So now as we kind of come back to quote unquote normal, how do we adapt to the worker and vice versa? So I think for me, somebody who's kind of been a leader before the pandemic and after, you definitely see a shift in the workforce. I think we have to be a bit nimble, and obviously we got things we need to accomplish, and we have, goals that we need to achieve in order to keep moving the organization forward, but there may be a different way to do it. So I think I'm personally constantly learning. Don't claim to have all the answers, but I want to listen to our staff. What are their needs? How do they see it? And the reality is, they probably see the world a little bit different than I do. And when I started my career, I probably saw the world a lot different than my boss did. So be open-minded to all those things, I think, is the key.
Yeah, I agree. I know when COVID, I think it hit, it changed a lot of lives for sure, especially the whole industry, especially when we started getting, I guess, remote. When we started with our online schooling, I know it was kind of hard for us to get used to it because you can't see your friends, you can't see your family the same way. And after 2 years, I was actually able to see my grandparents and my friends because of COVID. It had really hit like a lot of people. And I feel like I don't want to say weakened, but I feel like it's taken a lot of our human, people skills away, especially when I went back into school. People would be, I guess, nervous of talking to each other the same way as we did before. No one would be talking or playing around. It's more on going on devices and phones and the laptops. And that just became the new norm now. And honestly, it's kind of sad to see how, I know it's more related to younger kids and high school and elementary school, but I feel like it's kind of sad to see how kids are not interacting with each other, and we're going to lose that human touch, especially with AI coming in as well. I feel like it's important for us to learn those skills now before the world changes more, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, it's just evolving so rapidly, like you said, right? So it's it's a challenge. And I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they're so incredibly technologically savvy, which is crazy. They've come up with it, they know it, but the challenge is let's get outside and let's play. Let's have those experiences that children should have. And I'm guilty. I'm like everyone. I'm on my phone way too much, but yeah, it's really try to make a cognizant effort to be present. You mentioned not being able to see your grandparents for 2 years. That's time you can't get back. And you having young kids, that's time you don't get back. So yeah, I think it's a good lesson you just flagged there to try to put the devices down. We got a lot of time in the day to do that, and live your life, right? I think that's one thing I definitely noticed. It's not, a younger generation thing. It's just people coming out of COVID is that there's fears and anxiety about simple thing like picking up the phone and calling the client or calling the customer or calling the sponsor, because we're just so used to talking on Teams and emails and text messages, and it's so easy to do that. But every once in a while, you got to come back to that human-centric approach to say we crave interaction, right? We crave human connection. So let's get back to that. And it's definitely maybe one of those things that we don't even know yet the effects of the pandemic that it has on that. But it's something we should keep in mind. It's a great point by you.
Yeah, for sure. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit and we're going to get into the Would You Rather session. For that, I just want to ask you, if you could invent a new sport and add it into the Special Olympics, what would it be and why?
Totally invent a new sport or bring a current sport?
Let's use our creativity and create a whole new sport.
Whole new sport. That's amazing. Well, pickleball is all the rage right now. So if we can get really crazy, and we're in Canada and everybody loves hockey. So when we say it's pickleball on ice, it's a combination of hockey and pickleball on ice. I don't know how the heck you do it. They do full body contact, but I'm gonna say a combination of pickleball and hockey. I'll let you come up with the name, whatever that sport may be.
Okay, but that would sound like such a fun game. Actually, I would love.
Right? Yeah. You can steal my idea. You can take it.
Yeah. Okay. So now we'll go into the actual Would You Rather questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So would you rather be stuck in a mascot costume during a business meeting, or have to explain to a Gen Z panel why email is still a thing?
You know what? I'm going to take the mascot costume. I'm going to sweat it out in there, and I'm going to avoid that conversation.
Okay, the next one is related to Gen Z as well. Okay. But would you rather walk into your biggest event and realize that your shoes are completely mismatched, or give your whole speech using Gen Z slang without a translator?
I'm going to go with the shoes again. You see, I'm avoiding the Gen Z ones. I'm going to go mismatched shoes. And when I realize I'm going to take it as an opportunity to explain why I have mismatched shoes, I'll totally make something up and I'll just roll with it. So I'm going mismatched shoes.
Yeah, we'll make a new fashion. On your biggest meeting, wear mismatched shoes.
It's a conversation starter at the very least, right?
Yeah. And then the last one is, would you rather have to use a typewriter for all your emails, or explain to your entire team why you're now switching all your company memos to a carrier pigeon?
I'm going to go old school with the typewriter. I think I'd like the sound of the clicking. I'm going to go typewriter. I think that'd be fun.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Well,
you know what a typewriter is. That's way before your time.
Yeah, we still have seen them in a lot of movies, and I remember going shopping once, and they had like an old typewriter, and I'm like clicking on, what is this thing, Dad? And he's like, oh, sweet child of mine. The things I have to explain.
Right.
Yeah. But no, they do have a nice sound. I do agree.
Yeah, exactly. It can be soothing.
Yeah, it can be, for sure. And well, thank you so much, Mr. Jansma. I really enjoyed this conversation. I found it very educational, and I hope our guests enjoyed this conversation as well. For everyone who's watching, make sure to stay tuned and subscribe.